I'm using this progress journal to keep track of like what worked and like what I need to improve. I have this column over here that will tell me how on average I am playing these particular limb independence things. You could do this for any kind of exercise like triple diddle or stick control or whatever. Write them down and then you can keep track of how you're doing over time. The ones where my overall average performance is just meh or needs a lot of work, this is the stuff that I sit and focus on. If I expand this, I'm keeping track of whatever my starting and ending BPM is, the quality of the playing. So for example, did it need a lot of work? Was the overall quality just meh? Was it technically proficient? So was I playing the ink on the page, but not necessarily making it sound groovy like on drum kit? Or was it musical? So this is just kind of like 4 categories that I use to kind of like keep track of like overall how did it sound. For rudimental, you might do something a little bit different, or concert as well, call it whatever you want. But I also keep track of like, how did I feel while doing this? Was it out of control? Was I bored? Was I making progress? Was I having fun with it? Was it pushing my limits, etc.? So I was able to keep track of like, am I getting better and am I getting worse on whatever it is that I'm working on over time? If I'm practicing something every single day, I'm not necessarily going to notice the improvement over time. Like, oh, I didn't realize that over this 6-month period, I actually was able to play this thing 20 clicks faster, and the overall quality of the playing was like a 7 out of 10 as opposed to like a 6 out of 10. You'll be able to notice those kind of like improvements by looking at the macro data, but when you're in the daily grind, you're not able to see that sort of thing. If you do a quarterly review, one of the things you can do is like not only look at the raw data, like using metrics like this, like, well, how are things? Is it getting better over time? Is it getting worse over time? But you can also pull up videos of yourself every single quarter, record yourself playing the same thing to see, have I made progress on this? So one of the things that I did when I was a band director, recorded their very first time playing Hot Cross Buns. And it sounds like a train, like quite literally. It's just like, Rah! It's horrible. And it's my ringtone because I think it's hilarious. And also it's motivating. The very final concert in front of like their parents, I would pull out the recording and I would like play it on my laptop. And the parents would be like, oh my goodness, that's what they sounded like on day one. And then we would, as an ensemble, play it for them to show, look how much better we sound over this course of the school year or semester or quarter or whatever you want to do for your check-in on it. But that makes it so that you can have like direct comparison. Like if I'm performing something 3 months ago versus today, how are things in terms of how they sound? So like somebody was asking me a question earlier about like what's easy and what's hard on drums. And I was saying that like as I got better, I noticed more things to work on. The same thing is going to happen with your performing. If you are practicing and you are getting better as a performer, you might not think you're getting better overall because you're noticing more things to work on that you didn't notice previously when you were at a lower skill level than you are at a higher skill level. But if you use those recordings of yourself performing something, that can give you like a direct comparison. Oh, like 6 months ago or 12 months ago, here's what it sounded like then, here's what it sounds like now. That's a huge difference. Before I get to the next tip, I just want to say really quickly that you can find literally thousands of hours of free drumming play-alongs and drumming tips in the link at the top of the description or by going into my home tab of YouTube. Here's about my writing process. It's never the same. Every time I write a piece, like sometimes I'm like literally like in the shower and just like, I gotta go write this down. Just like get to my phone with wet fingers and try and type in an idea. When I'm in the writing process, I just absorb myself in that process 24/7. I will literally wake up in the middle of the night with like, I gotta go work on this. And we'll just like type in the ideas on Sibelius, which is what I use to like compose music and whatnot, and drawing in inspiration from like other sources of music. As far as arranging for like a marching band thing, I'd listen to the band score, but then also listen to like a cover band play a variation of this song, and then like multiple other people do other arrangements of this song and try and pull in that inspiration onto there, even outside of that. So like I listen to a lot of Steve Gadd, the Chick Corea album where he's playing drum kit on Friends. That one, just like listening to that heavily influenced Pat Metheny show that I wrote for Drumline. There's no like one way to go about doing it other than just keep doing it every single day. So when I am writing, whether it's sheet music or academic works, it would be just like a non-stop process where I'm just like every day, pro gamer. Every day I would absorb myself in the process and spend time chipping away at it. It's better for your brain to process things over time. One of the things that you can do is just like engage with it like 20 minutes every single day as opposed to like 1 or 2 hours one day, like on the weekend. But another thing you can do that I learned from another professor, set aside different days working on different things. So it could be like on the first day I will work on this song, on the next day I'll work on a different song, and you you just keep alternating between them. Or this professor, what he would do is he'd work on 5 projects simultaneously. On Mondays, he did one project, and then he'd go a whole week before he'd think about that again. Because on Tuesday, he was doing a separate project. Wednesday was the 3rd project, Thursday was a 4th project, and Friday was a 5th project. And so it gave him that incubation time, that time where his brain was able to get a whole week of working on other stuff, and then you come back fresh and you go, oh, this is what I need to do to move this particular composition forward, or article, or whatever it is that you're writing. You can also just like ask like other people what are their creative processes for creating art or creating pottery, etc. Like, draw inspiration from there. So you don't necessarily just have to ask like other drummers or other musicians. Draw inspiration from multiple different people, and that can inform like how you actually create the music that you want to create, or whatever it is you want to do. Like if you're an academic, okay, then the papers that you want to write or whatever. This might sound bad, but I don't get into creative ruts because of the processes that I've set up for myself. If I am stuck on an idea, I just work on something else. And I have so many things to work on because I can just keep jumping back and forth between them. So if you get stuck on a song, like you don't have to sit there and grind it out unless there's a deadline for that. Just move on to something else and come back to it. And you can come back fresh to it. And that will help you out in the long run. If you do this like procrastination thing where it's like, I wait until the very end and then I go and I create this piece of music in as short as time as possible, right up to the deadline, it's just not going to be as good as if like you're able to sit and think about it, in my opinion, at least based on my experiences and whatnot. How do you stop being tense when you play? Your jaw gets tense. The way that I work on like any of those tensions is being hyper focused on that and playing stuff slow. Let's say you're playing roll exercises and you're tensing up your jaw there. Go super slow and only focus on the jaw while you're playing through that. And then slowly you'll be able to get more and more relaxed with it. The thing is with tension anywhere, you have to spend an absurd amount of time being focused on not doing that slowly so you can put more brain power towards that to counteract the amount of time that you spent with that bad habit. If I've spent 10 hours reinforcing this poorly, now I need to spend 20 hours trying to get better at it. And it just takes time. It's a patience thing. I march snare, traditional grip. When you see me practice, I'm exclusively playing match grip. And to this day, after playing years of match grip, my left hand does not match my right hand. And so I'm still working on that. And it's because of all the years of like doing concert stuff where I wasn't actively really focusing on that because my primary focus was traditional. And so when I did concert stuff, I was reinforcing bad habits because I wasn't paying as much attention to it. And I kind of regret that now. So give it time and deliberate focus for months, if not years, and you'll get better at it. Practicing on a pad, sitting down can be an issue if you're playing in a way that does not match how you would on the actual drum. But if you are sitting there and practicing and it's not affecting your hands and not affecting the angle of your forearms, your wrists, etc., then in general, like it's okay. It's better to be able to stand up and practice because then you can mark time while doing it and actually like really simulate however it is you are playing in like the lot or whatever. Some students, they might have like a drum pad resting on something and then they're actually playing above where they would normally want to be. So their like arm is at a upward slope as opposed to being like parallel with the drum. That can create some issues with your playing. Same thing if it's like too low, like if we've got this downward angle as opposed to making it parallel. If you play match grip on pads, sometimes you'll like kind of get this like flared out, like you want to go bro, kind of like approach with your like playing. I've had so many hours like on the bus just like practicing stuff, and it's not like it like ruined my playing as soon as I got off the bus and like got on a drum and I was like, oh no, I don't know how to play again.